Hey, folks, John Duffin here, Duffin Media. Welcome back to another 5 Live, as we're calling it, the September 5 Live Communications Blitz. Popping in on a Friday, unannounced. So I don't want you thinking, if you're watching me right now on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, I don't want you thinking, who let him in? Maybe I should check the locks. Didn't mean to barge in on all of you. I hope I'm not interrupting anything important that you're doing, like random scrolling or worrying that you didn't get enough accomplished this week. And kind of the whole point as to why I'm here. Here's what we have done so far. And me, have accomplished a lot. And that has been great. What we chose to do, and it was very intentional, was communicate this week where it is technically post summer. For those of you who are really smart, you know that there is still summer left and a great part of it left in September. So I'm not trying to race the season along, right? But in a business sense, in terms of optimizing communications, what we've done is provide tips, techniques, hacks that you could use and will use immediately, and you would get immediate results in terms of improving your communications to garner stronger results, generate revenue, accelerate business relationships, cultivate better relationships, ask better questions so that you'll get better answers to provide better solutions. And again, whether that's generating more revenue, ascending the corporate ladder, keeping your seat at the boardroom table, getting that promotion, and again, keeping the job and moving along professionally. That's what we get to do here. We've had some fun this week. I've had some participation this week. You've made it great for me. And one of the reasons I wanted to hop on today was to do a really quick recap. But this is inspired by a very dear friend of mine who I happened to see this afternoon. I won't name check him today. Not that he's like a mystery. He's a great dude, a business professional, and a dear friend. And we were talking about end of week and next week and what have you. I'm just reminding everybody, especially this week and at the end of, let's say, the first week back from our summer vacations, whether you had a summer vacation or not, whether you had a great summer or not, that's okay. That's okay, because we kind of scrub everything and we begin anew. As it turns out, let's say the week after Labor Day, a little bit of that back to school sense or vibe. And what I wanted to alleviate or help with this week was that sense of the undue pressure that you put on yourself, or I've put on myself in the past, thinking you have to really accelerate or hurry up or get things done, or that you're behind the curve or everybody else is. And then you finish the thought, right? Hey, folks, if by any chance you are watching me on Facebook Live or LinkedIn Live or YouTube Live and you see me, well, first off, great. You feel like it, drop a note in the comments. If you were here for any of the sessions this week, drop a note in the comments. I'll know that you are here today, and I'll shout you out in a good way. And then if you're watching the replay, that's great too, right? So here's what we got to do this week. We got to do a few things. Just a couple of reminders. Each day, we brought up what I called a game day situation, right? Certain things. And one of the ones I just pulled up, end of summer grogginess. You're feeling as if you got to move and you're not quite ready and everyone's moving faster than you. We identify tips in regards to how you could shake off the cobwebs. Here's a suggestion of one way to shake off a cobweb. I'm going to show you something. And to me, you got to get yourself in the mindset. So the reminder, folks, was this. I talked about breathing to speak and a Navy SEALs breathing technique and what I called your body of evidence. One of the things that helps tremendously is to give yourself a little bit of space, room, and what I'll call grace. Okay? Space, room, grace. are all things so that the next activity is not either a bad decision or no decision because you're so overwhelmed with all of this extra baggage and stuff. One of the things that we got to do, which can help you make your next good move, right, is to put yourself in a mindset to do it. So one of the things that we touched on this week, as I called it breathing to speak, was reminding people of techniques, breathing techniques. The Navy SEALs breathing technique is what we got to do. And that reminder that if you have 16 seconds today, any day, every day, multiple times a day, here's something that you could do to give yourself a little less pressure and a little more room and space so that when it's time you think, hey, I need to make a phone call to somebody, I need to reach out to a prospective client, you're not feeling so jammed up with other things that you just don't bother, okay? That was the Navy SEALs breathing technique, was one of the tips and hacks where we literally talked about 16 seconds. Heck, before we leave today, how about we just go do it, all right? So that our Friday afternoon has a little bit more headspace. Want to try it? All right, I'm jumping back in with you, okay? Water's fine, okay? The reminder, the Navy SEALs breathing technique was the one where Navy SEALs use this technique to get out of life or death panic situations. So, want to play? Got 16 seconds? Let's do it. If you're driving, don't. If you aren't driving, you're probably good. Let's do it, okay? 16 seconds. First off, you're going to breathe in deeply for 4 seconds. And you're going to hold that for 4 seconds. And then a deep exhale for 4 seconds. Really let the belly expand. I said that backwards. Really let the belly contract. And then you're holding that for 4 seconds. What does that do? This takes that panic mode away from Navy SEALs. And so that if you are still holding a lot of baggage, whether from the summer or the week or life or your family or whatever it happens to be, finances, all those sorts of things, give yourself the grace to breathe a little bit. It's amazing how quickly you'll clear out a little bit of room in that brief amount of time, 16 seconds, to make what they call your next right decision. What is that? Well, it's typically up to you, but it's most often an action step. Okay. We talked about certain things. One of the things that really matters in terms of a review aspect is from a business perspective, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? How am I going to this? How am I going to that? A lot of eyes in there. Another tip that we focused on this week was simply that reminder that every action you take should be predicated upon this mantra, which is, and I called it choose your thoughts wisely, that mantra, it only matters if it matters to them. No, I don't mean your integrity or living your life. That's up to you. But if it has to do with business, asking for money, receiving money, closing a deal, real estate listings, communicative sales, getting, enhancing, leveraging relationships, what you say often is it only matters if it matters to them. Think about this. Whether you pick up the phone today, whether you've got an upcoming appointment late this afternoon, and you're going to get, and by the way, I keep repeating that same thing. I'm going to touch on why that matters so much. Certainly next week, always remember that move. It only matters if it matters to them. So you're going to temper what you say or the purpose of the communication. If it matters to them, well, then it's probably a good thing to say. If it matters to you, I've got to go close that deal, so I better call so-and-so. Or I got to sell this whatever. So I better, no. It only matters if it matters to them. So the words you choose, the way that you express yourself, more importantly, the way that you sound often has to come from a point of service. And I don't mean altruism. I don't mean the sense that it's always giving. But if you want somebody to, you want to hold their attention, you want to get their attention, you want to hold their attention, let me tell you, the best way to be able to do that is simply make it matter to them rather than what you need or you want, right? We had a fun exercise yesterday, bunch of questions. I was fresh off of my Olympics victory in Paris. Right, none of that's true. If you ever saw me run, you know that ain't it. But the reminder had to do with questions, asking the right question at the right time in the right platform increases your odds of getting the answers that you want. Long, lengthy questions of somebody you barely know, or a bunch of invasive questions of someone you don't know, you're not going to get answers. Asking only fluff questions like, would you like me to bring you coffee? Maybe you ask those at the beginning of the relationship, but they're not going to get you very far. Asking in-depth questions before you know somebody well, you probably won't get the answers you want to hear. And asking for closes too soon, before you've got all your ducks in a row, can often be a mistake. So this was the analogy at the beginning of the race, at the starting gate, as you're sprinting and at the finish line, the types of questions at the right time in the right platform. I'm a massive believer in interpersonal communications. Now, LinkedIn DMs are lovely. Text messages, lovely. A lot of people, that is their, emails. And that a lot of people, that's their primary form of communication. Now, I'm old school. And you might be like, well, of course, look at them. The reason that I was lucky enough to be able to succeed in sales, sales management, sales coaching, sales training, a lot of eyes, huh? The reason I was lucky enough to have been able to do that, and I'm grateful as hell to say that, is because I also knew I'm at my best personally when I am either speaking to somebody face to face. It's one of my favorite things in the world to do, or over the phone. You can feel energy, right? This is great. Zoom and virtual and what have you. This is great, but it doesn't in any way replace face-to-face or a phone call where you literally feel the person's energy and they feel yours, for all the right reasons. So I say that because anytime you have the opportunity, I would say your preference for getting real information, cultivating real relationships, getting the referrals that you need to improve your business network, generating revenue, asking for the sale, and more importantly, getting it, is most often face-to-face, right? Text messages to me personally are great for directional information. Hey, I'm confirming 2:00 today at your office. Are we good? That's a text message. Some lengthy questionnaire, survey, needs analysis by email, direct message, I don't answer them. Maybe you do, but I don't. I couldn't be bothered, even if I know the person well. So what I'm suggesting today in the review is know where you are in the relationship, know where you are in the sales cycle, but more importantly, timing is everything. People are probably at their most forgiving when they're in front of you. They're going to let you slip up on words. They're going to let you forget a bullet point. They're not going to care because you're in front of them and they can feel your energy. And so I encourage everybody, so much so, to not pressure yourself into making certain you remember, inhale, exhale, right? but know that there are direct tips, techniques, hacks that you can use to improve your communication, your organization's communications, your ability to navigate the sales cycle, the relationship cycle, the boardroom, your business plan. Typically, when I got back after post Labor Day, we were finalizing business plans for the coming calendar year. So a lot of pressure is on, and everything that we're talking about in terms of tips or techniques do typically one of a couple of things. One, they alleviate the pressure valve, meaning they make you a little bit less tense so that people will respond to you a little bit more favorably and that you'll be in a position to be able to move the ball forward. Hence the breathing techniques. Also, the ability to know what types of questions to ask and when to ask them takes people off that defensive edge. I mean, the other person. And then when we talked about doing your homework before, such a big damn deal to me, taking the action and doing your homework. So the tension gets removed when you help people. It only matters, folks, if it matters to them, the client, the audience, the sales organization. And here's the fun thing. That's just a few things that we covered this week. And all of them can be done separately. You can watch the first 3 episodes, well, technically now 4, including this one, the review, but you can watch them sequentially. Absolutely. I did that very intentionally. But also, you can cherry pick as you need them. You do not need to watch these in order. I am leaving the replays up on these social media platforms, Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live. So they are all there so that all weekend long you could go through them. Each one is about 30 minutes. And I did that so that you wouldn't be inundated with stuff. Here's the good news. I said we were going to do 5 live sessions. I am heavying up on that because I feel like I'm having fun. People have responded well. And so I'm doing another 3 next week. So I guess I could still call it the 5 live, but the preview for next week is this: more tips and techniques. Every situation that I bring up, whether it is the actual situation, like the ones that I've brought to the stage, right? Every one of these situations I've experienced. I don't do theory, right? I do practical because I'd rather work in real life situations. And so every one of these I have lived with. Here's the exception. I've had people talk to me about specific situations in their business career and how can I help them from my coaching business. And I will use their examples specifically. How does that work? You can email me, right? Which is the easiest way to get to me. Obviously, you can go to my website at duffinmedia.com where you got all my contact information, and I am happy to speak with you. And again, I'm old school, so I also like phone calls. I love in person, by the way. But you want to just reach out to me? Here's 2 ways to do it. Reach out to me, jd at duffinmedia.com. And if you want to give me a particular situation to chew on, we could do it one of 2 ways. We could do it during one of these free live sessions, or your business or you personally can jump in and talk to me in regards to their situation, and we can talk in more specifics. I do discovery calls so we can make all of that work. So the reminder is this: next week, what we've got is the ability to keep moving the tips forward. I'm not a big repeater unless it's a review. I'm grateful that based upon my breadth of experience from 2024 on back, I get to do a lot of cutting edge stuff that I've learned. And so there's plenty more left where this came from. And so I'm going to leave you with something today. Bonus tip, right? Folks, if anybody is on here and this resonates with them, jump in and drop me a comment. If you watch on the replay, that's great too. But here's what I'm going to ask you to jump in on. On a Friday afternoon on East Coast Philadelphia time, it's approaching 2 p.m. And so very often in the businesses that I've been a part of right now and in the past, this was very often a chance to recap a week like I'm doing. But often the problem could be you talk about leaving money on the table or situations on the table and projecting into next week. And a lot of words would be, hey, next week I'm going to make all my phone calls, do all my presentations, go to all those networking events, ask for all those referrals, close all those deals, blah, 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 blah. What are you doing today? I don't know. I'm just going to recap, get my head right, get some rest. And then next week, here's your tip for the day. Try something today now. What do I mean? Very specifically, right? Treat it like practice if you want to take a little bit of the pressure off. Do you want to call your number one client that you're due with very compelling, specific technical information? Do you want to rush a phone call or a meeting with them? Probably not. Probably not. But what if you were coming from a place of service? Do you remember the mantra that we talked about earlier? It only matters if it matters to them. One technique, do you want a new technique that would demonstrate that you know that you get that? Here's one. Ask how you can help. Is there any aspect where you need my help? Just happened to me. An hour ago. That business colleague, somebody I respect from a business mindset and a really dear friend, right? Hey, how can I help you? Do you know I came up with 4 ways that person could help me? They probably didn't need all that help, those suggestions. But it woke me up. Here's how you can't help somebody: talking at them or serving your stuff at them. Hey, I got this new proposal. Hey, I got this new package. Hey, I got this new opportunity. Hey, do you want me to come over and show you? A lot of eyes there, right? But remember, communications sounds so stiff and formal. This is all about relationships. This is all about progression. One of the things I learned early and still works in 2024, and I'll share that with you right now, that, yeah, there are certain businesses and certain types that they call one call closes or one meeting close, and they are pressure packed and all that sort of thing. I'm going to tell you, most businesses aren't. And I'm not being lazy, but what I'm saying is this: don't put that kind of stupid pressure on yourself unless it really is a one-time deal. But most are not. Most of them are progressive. You're building relationships. What's progressive? It means you're advancing, moving the ball forward, not staying in the same old place. Let me give you an example on a personal level of what is not progressive. Say you're at your high school reunion, right? I was at my grade school reunion not that long ago. And a lot of the conversation at the grade school reunion, which was great, by the way, that event was great. But here's the thing: a lot of the conversations were flash backwards. Hey, remember that teacher, that nun? Remember that day, that situation? Remember playing Jailbreak? Does that age me or what? But what I'm saying was this: that's not advancing relationships. Here's a way. We talked about how can you help and progressive relationships. The mark of a dear friend just proved it. Again, that conversation, right, is that you're able to immediately flash forward. And you're not talking about that time at the beach or the beach house, or remember that day, or do you remember that concert, or do you remember that Phillies game? It's what's going on right now. And so That's the way that business relationships work too. Your job, it only matters if it matters to them, is to and advancing a situation. Make it easy. Make it easy. Asking questions like, how can I help? What's on your mind? Where I could help. If you're really close with somebody, it's an easy question to ask because they'll come up with things. If you don't know the person well, maybe you say to them, hey, here's some ways I've helped other businesses. Here's some ways I've helped other clients or other referral partners. Here's some ways I tend to help. Is there anything that you need help in right now? When you say that, two things happen. Number one, the pressure a little bit diffuses on the person you're speaking with. How can I help? Not what can I slam at you, sell at you, shove down your throat, push past you. Forgive me for laughing. I love this guy. John McBride, the announcer to the Stars, Broad Street Run. Oh, my God. The Philadelphia Marathon, triathlons, baseball, strong baseball, football, sports. You can't spell theme with them to make them your theme. Check you out, man. You are so on fire this week, brother. Ace in this class, A+ing it. But that's the thing I'll leave you today, which is number one, take the pressure off. Not just you, them. Because people have their guards up, right? And here's the second thing. Make a phone call today. Make a phone call today. See somebody today. Oh, I got you, brother. I 100% got you. Nothing bad about you at all. You're the best. So rather than just push things to next week so that Sunday you go through what my sister, who used to call this, and I love this expression, the Sunday night syndrome, and all the things that you didn't do that are now pushed to Monday. And so your Sunday gets wrecked, or Sunday evening, because you're so worried about what you have to do Monday. Take the pressure off yourself. Yeah, plan for next week. Put all your priorities in order and blah, 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 blah. And then pick up the phone. Make one no-brainer call. Because remember, relationships, the best, are progressive. They move forward. Service-oriented, helpful, or how can I help? What can I do to help? Is your week going well? We can go bad. You know what I mean? How could I help? You just are trying to open a door. That's all you're doing. But you can't open doors when it's cold or if it sounds selfish. And you certainly can't open a door or advance things if you don't talk to somebody. So what I'm asking you today is this, and I will be following suit, right? I don't just tell people what to do. I lead with my actions, and hopefully you do too, which is I've got a couple of calls to make. I've got a coaching call happening in about 45 minutes. But before then, I want to talk to a couple of new people, and that's really all it's going to come down to. Challenge yourself in the easiest and best of ways. Could you make 2 phone calls? 1 is great. Could you make 2? And then do all your planning, strategizing, whatever the case may be. Make 2 phone. Ask if you can help somebody. How can you help? And if it's somebody that's not as close, offer. Hey, here's some ways I've helped other people. Here's some ways my company has helped other people. Is there anything I can do to help you today? There's an ease to it. You don't have to know all the answers. You do not have to have all the problems. You do not have to have all the snappy, salesy retorts. In fact, don't. But if somebody believes you that you're there to actually help them, I'll leave you with this. They just might let you. And that's what I got for you today, and I hope I helped you. So come Monday, 12 noon, we are back at it in earnest. I wanted to do a wraparound for this week, and hopefully we got to accomplish this. You will see. We went through the recap real fast, And we got way more fun stuff to do next week. Some fun giveaways and opportunities that you're going to get as well, too. So everyone who joined me this week, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope I helped. I hope because you helped me. And that means the world to me. You really helped me. So we're going to roll forward in the next week. But again, challenge yourself in a good way. Pick up the phone, call somebody. Call somebody. And if you're even really a type A, call 2 people. And then do all the things that you say you're going to do next week. Put those in motion right afterwards. All right. Hey, John Duffin here, Duffin Media. I'm a massive fan of all you folks. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you on Monday. Have a great day now. Bye.